5, 4, 3, 2.
Tier 1 performance.
Hey guys, welcome back to Tier 1 Performance. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Blaise Whitman. We actually had the luxury to film this in his house because we're here for a teammate's wedding, and really appreciate you hosting us. For those of you that don't know, Blaise is from Massachusetts. He played with me at URI. One of our star relieving pitchers, holds the records for best relieving ERA.
Top 10 in ERA for a single season, and then just most single season appearances.
Yeah, because you had, 27 out of 52 games, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
But go ahead and introduce us, tell us where you're from and how you ended up getting to URI in the beginning.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Like you said, my name is Blaise Whitman. I'm from Salisbury, Massachusetts, so up in the North Shore. I was playing baseball and football and basketball my whole life and always knew I wanted to play college and beyond. So basically from an early age, I was always interested in looking at playing college baseball and kind of figuring out where I wanted to play, where I could play, looking at different areas of what I thought would be good for me for the future. And I always knew I liked the Northeast, obviously being close enough to home. So I was looking around the area, mostly all of the Northeast schools. I knew I wanted to play Division I baseball, obviously as the top goal, and got recruited pretty early for University of Rhode Island along with a couple other ones, and I was able to find my way there, which was always a nice start.
So you were also a star football player in high school too, right? So what do you think playing football and baseball and being a dual sport athlete really kind of helped you in a scenario, or would you say if I just focused on baseball, I would have been 10 times better at baseball?
No, I would definitely advocate for being a dual sport or multi-sport athlete. I know there's a lot of people that try and specialize in one sport.
Especially nowadays.
Maybe, yes. I know for at least my experience being a pitcher, I know it's tough because you can't pitch year-round. Otherwise, your arm would be a little difficult. But I always advocate, you want to get out there and play, and just playing multiple sports and doing different things is going to just help your overall athleticism for anything that you're doing, even as a pitcher playing football, basketball, whether there's other sports, everything is always just overall going to help you besides just specializing in the one specific.
Right. So why were you always baseball first, or were you just always I don't know if I'm going to do football, baseball? What made you choose baseball overall?
I wanted to play college football as well. I actually looked at a couple other places of potentially playing college football. I did get recruited from a couple smaller schools to play football as well, but there's just more upside with baseball. I didn't get recruited anything for D1 for football. I wasn't big enough for that, and I probably wouldn't have held up as well. So baseball was the calling card. I definitely had a little more upside. I feel like I loved both evenly, if I had to be honest. Mm-hmm. I definitely still miss both, even at this day. But there's just more upside with baseball. I was a little better at it, and just was able to take me further.
So explain how you even got in contact with University of Rhode Island. What made you be I'm going to commit to URI, or did they approach you? Did you approach them?
So it was a little bit of everything. So I did a couple, I think it was more around my sophomore year. I had a good freshman year of baseball, and then my sophomore year, I did even well improved, and I was invited to a couple showcase leagues and did a couple things like that. And from that, I got exposure and got a couple calls and a lot of letters and recruitment stuff from a couple different schools. And a lot of it was, we'd like you to come to this recruiting camp or the showcase camp, or play in our basically our winter showcase tournament that they would have for prospects of people that they wanted to come in. So I remember I actually went to the first one that I came down to when I was invited to one for URI was I was a dual player, so I was a two-way, an infielder and a pitcher. So I spent
What
the
an
first
athlete.
I used to be. So I spent the first half of the day doing hitting, and then in the infield and everything. And then I remember I was supposed to pitch in the second games later in the day, and something got messed up on the schedule. So I ended up doing like some tour or something of the school for a little bit, and I came back from the tour, and they told me, they're like Whitman, you're supposed to be pitching next inning. Get ready quick. And I was not ready at all. So I was kind of a little nervous, frantic of getting ready to warm up quick because I just did a tour of the school at that time, so I wasn't even ready. I thought I was pitching in the 3 hours from then.
Is this in front of Foster?
This was in front of Foster, Serrato, and then a couple other assistant coaches that were there at the time.
Yeah.
But I think there was like two kids that had a similar name, so they put like one was like Whiteman and one was Whitman or something like that.
Yeah.
So I ended up going with the wrong group somehow or whatever. Basically, I ended up going to pitch and do my inning in front of everyone, and I didn't really know what to expect. I was just like, all right, I'm going to just do the best I can, go out there. I definitely wasn't fully as prepared as I would have been, which probably helped me in the long run, and I was able to have a really good inning. And then when I was walking off the mound after I finished that is when the coaches, actually Coach Foster was one that came over and approached me, and that's when he didn't make a full offer on the spot, but it was basically we want you to come here. And
Was that your junior year or senior year?
That was I believe it was the fall of my junior year, because I had just done, it was like the Lynn Invitational, which is, I don't know if you know, but it's a big tournament that they have it's usually like in August for all of the Northeast. You have to be invited to take part in that, and almost every Northeast college baseball coach is there. And then from that, you'll get a lot of exposure and a lot of coaches reaching out. So from that, I was invited down basically and recommended to come to the URI one. I can't remember thinking back at it now if URI coaches had seen me playing an actual game or just that tournament before I got invited down. But
is that a tournament? Is that by team invite only, or is it player invite?
Nope,
only?
it's player. Yeah, it's player.
Okay.
You have to get invited and recommended, because it's very competitive to get in, and it will be like a 3-day tournament where you'll play probably 6 games. So I actually had I know you had him on this podcast as well, Ben Wessel.
Oh yeah,
shout out to Ben Wessel.
Sure did.
Ben Wessel was on my Lynn Invitational team my sophomore year.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, y'all were both two-way guys, right?
Yep. And another shout out to Ben. Ben, he was only a pitcher in school, but he did hit a home run at the Lynn Invitational. He thought he was going to be a hitter, but yeah. Yep. So, but he was on my team, and then you play with Brad Applin as well. They were both on my team, so there was a lot of URI guys that just from the Northeast. It's just a big recruiting thing from there.
So, what was your statistics like in high school? So, like, were you throwing mid 80s, upper 80s? How many pitches, pitch control? Where were you at, like, as far as like level wise?
It's tough to remember exactly all of that. When I remember when I was pitching, we never had radar guns at any of our games in high school. I think
That's how slow I threw.
Yeah, no, basically. I think I was pretty consistently probably 84, 85 my first couple of years of school. And I remember when I went to that showcase was one of the first times that I actually had consistent radar guns on me. And it was probably, I think I was 85, 86, but my biggest calling card was I had a lot of command of my secondary pitches. So I remember the one thing that really got me noticed from URI at the time was my changeup. So I had a really good changeup. Then I had a good feel of that. And I remember I threw a good righty changeup to strike out a kid, and that was the last pitch as I was walking off the mound, and that's when Coach Foster.
You still had that four-seam run.
Yeah,
I
had some good. So I was. I'll play it out now, but I was probably mid 80s mostly in high school, and then I was upper 80s and would go into the low 90s in college, but I had a lot of movement on all of my pitches. So even my fastball had a lot of arm side run. If you ask Jordan, he can never hit me on anything. I'd run a fastball in a little 2-seam run, a nice cutter, a slider away, and then I had the changeup that was really good.
All right, for a reference, Blaise was a junior and I was a freshman, and we had to go into winter ball, come back in from, I come back from Texas. Blaise is a junior. He's juiced up. Probably taking so many steroids and all that.
Definitely not. I should have. I wouldn't be here right now if I did.
But the thing was, our whole philosophy was hard and soft away that year.
Yep.
I think that was a huge thing. And I mean, Blaise has 6 inches of run on his fastball, and he's probably one of the first few pitchers to challenge me inside. And when the freaking an 88-mile-an-hour 4-seam on the inside corner looks so like hittable to hit an absolute 400-foot bomb, and then it runs 6 inches. It just saws you off in the hands, and 30-degree weather inside of a cold ass hitting cage, and then so I remember my whole entire hand was just swollen from being jammed. But I think, what was it? I got a couple of hits off you in the fall, like throughout my career, but whatever. Yeah, that freshman year was brutal. Yeah, for sure, 110%. That freshman year was brutal, and it wasn't just you. Like everyone was doing that. I did not think I was even going to start my freshman year.
We'll give a shout out to Jordan. He came in and we found out freshman year. He started as a freshman. He came in, so he's good. But we found a quick scouting report on him, so it wasn't too hard to pitch to him at that point. But I'll give him credit, and his credit to anyone else as well. When you know when someone knows what your weaknesses are, if you're able to figure that out as well and adapt, he was able to make the adjustment, and that's what made him a great player. So find out what is needed to be fixed.
I got spanked a lot with a slider. Yep. The scouting report was out. Fastball, I can absolutely crush any fastball you throw at me, whether it was 180, 70-mile-an-hour fastball. But if you threw a decent slider or curveball, especially in my freshman year, it was like 90% chance I might have K'd. It was pretty bad. So it took me a whole season, because I think my freshman year I batted 300. I ended batting 300. Yep. I also led the team in strikeouts.
Yep, it's a good mix.
I lost the shirt by 1.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah, it was terrible. I was like, best worst hitter on the team you could ever see. But going in, like, so now that you're in college, explain like how your college career went, like how you settled into your role as a reliever, knowing that you've been a starter your whole life, and then like how I especially think that, like, because I think your junior year, like my freshman year, your junior year, you were still fighting for that starting role, and then like a year or two later, you really embraced like I figured out
what I needed. Yeah. So when I came in, obviously, which most kids when they're in high school, they're a starting pitcher. Unless you're realistically an absolute stud, you're not going to come into college with an established rotation and be a starting pitcher. So you need to obviously work into that. My freshman year, I did well in the fall, and I was actually basically offered the spot of you can pitch your freshman year, but you'll probably throw 5 to 10 innings on the year. Not worth it. Or you can take a red shirt, which is what we recommend. I redshirted my freshman year. Didn't love it at the time because, like anyone competitive, they wanted to make the team. They wanted to be playing. Right. It was the best thing I ever did. So I redshirted my freshman year, which was able to help me just kind of build my craft, get everything I needed. After that, my redshirt freshman year, still young, still had an established rotation. So I was just pitching out of relief, which it's tough to learn that when you haven't done it ever. It's always good to be able to figure it out. Everyone needs to do it. So it was tough doing that. I pitched in relief all year. I think I had maybe like 12 or 13 appearances, not a ton. And then the summer going into my redshirt sophomore year, I went and played in the New York Collegiate Summer Baseball League, and I did really well and was able to develop a lot actually that summer, and came back the next year, and that's when I felt like I was fully ready to compete at the college level, and I was actually competing for the weekend starting spot. Mm-hmm. And I actually came in that year I actually earned the Sunday starting spot.
So I wasn't there yet, right?
You were, yeah, when we opened up at Florida. So it was Steve, Lou, and then I had the Sunday spot.
That's right.
Then we opened up on Sunday against the University of Florida was our opening weekend. I was the Sunday starter.
And Raph get ejected that game?
I don't remember probably. But I gave up, I think it was 3 runs through 3 innings to the number 1 team in the country. Definitely wasn't great. Wasn't a great performance. And then we had a stud freshman pitcher as well, and I ended up getting bumped after that to midweek starter, and I would pitch on the weekends in relief. So that was a good, really humbling experience for me. Because obviously everyone's goal is they want to be a weekend starter when they get to school. So to have that and then to be bumped down, midweek starter is still great, but everyone wants to be the weekend starter.
Yeah.
So at that year and a little bit of the next year, so my redshirt sophomore year and my redshirt junior year, I did a lot of midweek starting and then pitching in relief on the weekend. So going back and forth was definitely a little tough to kind of establish a
rhythm.
full rhythm of what you wanted. Yeah. That summer going into my redshirt senior year when we actually played together up in Maine is when I more just kind of, I think it was how many innings I threw. They wanted to keep me on an innings limit. So we were like, all right, we're going to have you just pitch in relief. And I actually got really good at it when I fully embraced that role. And that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of figured out that this is what I'm good at, coming in and doing what's needed out of the pen to then be able to translate going into my senior year.
So how did you? I was always curious, like how you were able to do that. So like one was embracing the role, like if I'm going to come out of the pen, I'm going to be the best person coming out of the pen, and you were able to build like an atmosphere when Blaise goes in. I was like, great, we got 2 lockdown innings, and then like you don't know, like as a positional player when it's already a close game and we have somebody super reliable coming into the game, like that takes so much stress off of us as position guys, helps us focus, like get ready to hit for you, right? You know, so like I mean, I can't even remember how many games we turned around and won when you came in. Like we took the lead because you would end up getting some dubs.
The best thing that I'll remember as well too is we played. I don't know who else has anything like this, but we played at the University of Washington, George Washington, doubleheader in conference game, and I'll give a shout out to Tyler Bars as well too, our actual closer. But we played a doubleheader, and I came in the 8th inning in the first game, and we were losing. I had a clean inning, and then I think Chris Hess might have hit a home run. We took the lead. Tyler Bars gets the lockdown save. I get the win in game one.
In game one,
Come back in game 2 because this is like conference play. I didn't think I was pitching. Almost the exact same scenario happened. They bring me in again in the 8th inning of the next game. That same day, we take the lead again. Bars gets another save. So Bars and I on the same day got 2 wins and 2 saves. So it's kind of just at that point when you're a reliever, at least in certain scenarios, you got to just be ready for any situation. It's kind of, especially for some of them. But like you'll get ready with that. You'll go in without being ready.
Yeah, but like how did you? So like after you embraced it, how did you get into that groove? Being able to succeed throwing so much, and then also like how do you get your mindset to where like, hey, like I can go in at any moment. I got to be ready to just shove. Like it's not an easy thing to do. It's kind of like I consider relieving a form of like pinch hitting. Yeah. Right. You're just on the bench. Next thing you know, hey, like get hot or get ready to swing, and you're like, well, I have not been ready. So, like,
that's kind of like one thing a lot of people have already heard. It's like, if you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So if you're kind of locked into the game and you kind of know, at least what we knew is we had a scouting report. We knew, all right, depending on the game script, it's going to be this person in this situation right here. So you kind of know when you're expected to be ready. Yeah. Obviously the games change. Anything can happen. There was times where Coach Serrato asked if I was hot and ready to go into the game, and I was still sitting in the dugout. I wasn't even down in the bullpen throwing. So it's kind of ones where you have to get ready and just be ready at all points. One thing that I really like attribute to, like kind of how you said, is a mental aspect of what you need to get into. Going into my senior year, I did a lot of reading of a lot of like mental books and baseball books and psychological stuff, and that was a tremendous help. That really helped. Yep. Oh, yeah, I still have the books actually upstairs that I read going into that senior year.
What books were they?
One was called Mind Gym. One was the ABCs of Baseball. One was like, it was the art of pitching and stuff like that. And it was all really able to help create a good mental space of stuff of what you need to be able to do. And if you can really focus on all of a couple things like that, it's really just going to, because the mental game is a lot bigger than a lot of people realize. And I think that
especially in baseball.
Yeah. And that was one thing that I actually really struggled with a lot my first couple of years until I was able to realize a couple of different things of what I needed based on that. And I feel like that took a lot of pressure off me that was able to let me play just to the best of my abilities.
Yeah, I think that takes a big aspect to what kind of how I am. So when I play, I think my hardest conversion going into college was the art of learning from my AB while also letting it go. Yep. Because like, I mean, you give up a big hit, you're pissed, whatever, right? Yeah. You're like, you might scream into your glove. Next thing you know, you're on the mound. It's over. Yep. It's done. Yep. Right. But like for a hitter, you know, you're facing batters every time. Yeah. As a hitter, I face you maybe twice. Yep. If I had a good, if I'm lucky, right? So like me, like striking out on that slider away, like I mean, in high school, it's like, all right, he got me that time. Don't worry, next time I'm for sure gonna win. Yep. But that's not good enough. Yeah, because you got guys that are throwing with intent behind that pitch. Yep. They're locating it there on purpose. And I think the hardest thing for me was like I struck out, and I'll give Jim Martin credit for this, even though I don't want to. But I remember I K'd in the cages. I don't know who I K'd to.
Probably me.
Probably not. But I K'd a lot. I remember going in my freshman year and I would strike out twice and then like walk or get like a rollover. Mm-hmm. And that happened like 3 days in a row. I'm like, to me, it's like all this pressure is coming up because like this is a tryout to see if I get to travel.
Yep.
And he comes over to me and he's like, it looks like you're going up there with the same plan every single time. And I was like, yeah, that's the approach. Like I come in, but he goes, but you're not learning. Like you haven't adjusted once. And it took a while for it to sink in. And then, you got to be able to analyze your swing, analyze the pitch, analyze where you were at, and then step back, take mental notes from that and be like, yes, and then apply it to your next AB and then just cut it off the emotion.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that. And once I was able to do that, I mean, like, whether I was 0-2, 2-0, it didn't matter. My outcome was pretty much set in stone that I have a pretty good chance of putting this ball in play.
Yeah.
And I was able to cut down my strikeouts tremendously from that. But it was all mental.
It's all mental, and that's one thing. Like I kind of learned going into that last year that it was one of the things is the next pitch. You can throw that pitch. You can give up a bloop single, a bunt hit, anything like that. And once more for a pitcher. Once you throw the ball and it's out of your hands, it's out of your control. Right. You can't just focus on the next thing. If a lot of pitchers and a lot of young kids, and something I struggled with at the beginning of my career was if you give up a single or a double, if you give up a double, he's in scoring position. Yeah. That doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to, you can get the next guy out. I would always learn, and one thing that Coach Foster said right away is like, if you have bases loaded and one out, you're 2 pitches away from getting out of the inning. Oh, yeah. It's not over. Just focus up on one thing that I'm like the most proud of from my senior year was I think I came in with, I think it was 32 runners on base for the entire year, and I let one of them score. Yeah. So I had one inherited run for the entire year of just kind of coming in with that mindset of what needs to be done.
And that was wasn't that also the year then like 8 of us were all New England teams and we played in the thing? I think it was. It was me, Hess, Marty, Corin, Matteo, you. We had 2 more pitchers.
Vitale made it.
And
Bars.
Yeah. All New England team. Yep. And we, it was like Rhode Island was like in the starting 9. Like it was crazy. No, that was a fun time. So you go on to, play pro ball and you go on to play independent ball. So like what were some of your attributes specifically to you? Like I know you developed a cutter.
Yep.
Right. What made you separate yourself from not only the college division, but to a professional division? So what what'd you learn or what helped you?
One thing as well that I would say is no matter how good you are at any point, you can always get better. Yeah. I was obviously really good in high school, and then when I got to school, I knew I wasn't the best on the team or even close to it when I first got there, and I'm always trying to develop and change a couple things. My friends would all get mad at me. My throwing partners, they would say that I would throw flat grounds for too long, or my bullpens would go too long because I was always working on something and trying to figure out an extra pitch or something. And one pitch that really set me aside my senior year was I was working on it for probably 2 or 3 years, was a cutter. And being able to fine tune and get that exactly how I needed the last year, which I had some tips from our pitching coach, Kevin Vance. Shout out to him. He's crushing it everywhere he goes. Yep. But that helped me out a lot. So figuring out and always trying to get what is just that little bit better each day until you can figure out fully what you need. From being in college and then going on to play pro ball, it's the same thing. You got to find something that you're good at, something that you can build on and just keep improving after that, and kind of going from there. So
I think you developing a cutter was actually pretty sick because your four seam, like we talked about earlier, runs like 4 inches, and if you get a cutter that's similar in aspect, as soon as you release it, that goes the opposite way, like makes people freaking nuts. It will drive me nuts, like. And then because now I'm reaching for a barrel, comes in, saw my hands off. Now I'm coming inside, cuts away, I'm swinging and missing. So it was.
You would want something as a pitcher, and a lot of probably younger kids are the same way as this is. When I was young and I was throwing my curveball and my slider, I wanted something with the most movement, the biggest break. And you can attest to this. My slider that I used to have, it would go like that. It was a sweeper. It had a lot of movement. And at some point,
but it's too obvious.
As I say, it started to be too obvious. So what I wanted something a little tighter and that looked more similar to my fastball. And we always wanted, pitchers talk about, we want the X. So you want your pitch to go like this, and it's going to go that way or that way off the same plane. So the fastball, if it's running that much and it's going there, and then my cutter's going that way, it's looking the same. And I'm not trying to make everyone swing and miss. It's just missing barrels.
Exactly. Yeah, missing barrels. You got a team that can play defense behind you. You don't give up an absolute rocket. You do your job, right? And I think that's the thing, like, because a lot of pitchers do want that big break, but you come 80, you come like 79, 80 right here, huge break, but then your fastball's 88, like immediately I'm able to tell. Like I
Yep.
was like, I know exactly what pitch you're throwing. If it's a strike, I'm going to swing.
Yep.
Right. So that's pretty cool. And then how'd you end up getting into indie ball?
So obviously every kid's the dream is to play professional baseball. Obviously I want to go and play and get drafted and play affiliated ball. I think it was about halfway through my senior year when I was doing really well, and actually Coach Serrato and Coach Vance approached me and they said, "What do you want to play professional baseball?" And like everyone's answer, my answer was, "Yeah, I'd love to play." And like, we think that you can do that. You have the talent. Whether it be a late round draft pick potentially if everything goes well, or it could be signing free agent or indie ball or something like that, which obviously we'll see how it goes. So it got to the end of the season. I didn't get drafted. A lot of redshirt seniors don't. I wasn't fully expecting that. I was hoping for a free agent contract with affiliated ball. If I had waited a little longer, I could have potentially got there, because I know a couple kids that
they get called up like super late.
They sign like after the MLB draft. I think I signed my contract with indie ball 1 week later.
I was going to say, it was like almost
it was
immediately.
right. It was right, because I think I had 3 indie ball offers ready to go, and I was debating on which one I wanted to take, and then if I wanted to wait and hold out for an affiliated contract. And my thought process was like, I just want to go and play right now. I'm ready to go. I'm just going to take this indie ball contract, and I was like, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to just keep doing really well, and I'm gonna get signed from that. And that was kind of a wake up call when I got there, honestly. Like I knew a little bit fully about indie ball, but I got out there and the talent was legit. It was very good.
Did you have a good time though?
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
Did you learn anything going from that pro ball that you didn't learn in college ball?
It's kind of just an extension of basically. I called that. It was basically like summer ball, but getting
On
paid.
steroids.
But on steroids, but getting paid is basically what it was. Like with summer ball, you're in and more serious. Like summer ball is pretty laid back and relaxed and everything like that. This one's a little more serious, but it was that similar aspect where you're not in college, you're not going to class, you're not doing that. But.
So I know that you're a very hard worker, and there's several pitch. There's different types of pitchers, right? Obviously, y'all are POs, y'all are all over the place. But like for those guys that are like hard workers, like, hey, I want to grind. They have like a kind of like a football grind mentality for pitchers. How do you, because like you said, you can't throw every day.
Yeah.
So how did you make that balance of, or like what did you focus on to get better every single day? Because some days you can't pitch.
Oh yeah.
Some days like you can only do certain movements for your lifting. So like what drove you? How are you still getting your work in? How are you still getting better every single day if you can't throw every day?
Yep. So a lot of it is just straight off, if you can't throw every day, a lot of it's dry work. So you're going through your mechanics and just everything, just not throwing. So to keep taxing off your arm, a lot of that, the biggest thing is just building up your conditioning and being in shape overall to be able to handle the load of throwing a baseball is not a natural motion. You don't want to have injuries. A lot of people get injuries. Yep. You don't want injuries. So as much arm care as you could do. So even on days when you're not throwing, you're doing arm care every day. You're doing running. You're doing your lifting. You're doing your mechanics and working on that. A lot of it is even on days if you're not throwing, you're doing other stuff besides the active pitching. You're doing a lot of your PFPs. You're doing a lot of work on holding runners. Because one thing as well that I took great pride in, especially as a reliever, is you need to be able to hold runners.
You have to.
You need to be able to mix up your looks, hold your runners, hold your timing. There's so many things that go into it that a lot of more younger kids or people that are just starting out in relief don't realize fully, and they just, I'm just going to get up there and throw. No, there's a lot of things that even when you're not fully in the act of pitching that you can work on to continuously get better.
Yeah, no, that's dude. And there's nothing that pissed me off more when I played, and like not that I saw this a lot at URI, but like especially like in high school when I played at that high level on my travel team, and you go into high school and you put in a reliever, and immediately 2 people steal 2 bags. Like that drove me insane. Like how, like you're in there to do what? Get us out of this inning, and now they're in runners in scoring position. And people don't realize how hard it is to hold runners, especially if a guy's got speed. Like I think as URI, we did a great job holding runners. We had Chase behind the plate or Gardella, even Martin would throw out guys, right? But it wasn't. I'm not competing like I'm competing against the catcher if I'm going. Yeah. But in order for me to get to go, I got to compete against the pitcher and make sure he's not. But like I think you would pick off twice. You would pick off twice and then throw a fastball away or something and like be like a sub 2 to the plate.
No, I was like a 1-2, 1-2-3 was my.
I'm sorry. So our catchers are sub 2.
Our catchers were sub 2, and I was
like
always sub 1-3 is what I always wanted to be.
Yeah, it was very hard.
One of my favorite things to do that I knew you or any runner would hate that was on the base is I would just get on the mound. I would just sit there and hold the ball fully set, and I would hold and wait
for like 3 seconds.
For like 10 seconds until they called time. I wasn't throwing a pitch. I would just get up there and hold, just to mess up with anyone's timing and just constant changing your looks, your time. Every little thing you could do to mess up with a hitter or the runner's timing is just an extra advantage.
Yeah, it would get to the point to where like when we were facing you guys, like you, Steve, honestly, Wilson was pretty terrible at holding runners. But like. Who's it? Nah, who else? Doonan was pretty good at it. Lou was pretty good at it. Majority of our pitchers were very good at holding runners. Murph was good at holding runners. LaFleur was good at holding runners. Dom
Cam was good.
And then, but it was like so much to the point that like, if I can just get to second, I have a better chance of stealing third than I do at stealing second. Yep. Second was like, it almost made me uncomfortable to steal second base because like I was like I can only get my 10-foot lead. And then like it ended up making me want to fake steal all the time. Like I would fake steal just like if I can't get into scoring position, the best thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take away Chase's or Gardella's frame. Yep. I'll just take away the frame. I mean, even if we have a decent umpire, which we usually don't. Yeah. Like I can at least frustrate him to not get those calls because I'm being a distraction. But so when we go from indie ball, how long were you there for?
So I was there. I think it was the middle of June that I got there, and I was there till the end of August, and it was great. The only thing that I didn't like, they'll say, is I played out in Indiana, and from the Northeast. I mean, it gets hot here in the summer, but I got out there, and it was like the first 2 weeks, it was 110 every single day. So everything besides the drive out there and the heat out there was great. I think I lost like 5 pounds of sweat in that first week, but other than that, it was great. It was the stadium we actually played in was Bossy Field, which is it's like top 3 oldest stadiums in the country still. Oh, wow. So it was pretty cool to be able to play in that. Most of the teams that we played, so we did a lot of traveling for that. A lot of them had turf and they were nice fields and everything, but ours was an old school like grass turf, not turf, like a regular grass stadium, like old school built. So also like to your point, like you never had any major big injuries, which is I think is freaking rare. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Yeah. You might have some as a dad, but Yep. But as a player, I think like usually every pitcher has that one big injury like throughout their career, and you didn't have any. So I kind of want to know for our viewers out there, for the kids out there that are watching, what was your rehab or your maintenance routine to where like you stayed healthy majority of your career? Yeah, like, what did you do? Yeah, I was lucky enough not to have any injuries. I think luckily the worst thing that I had is I had a forearm strain one summer, but that was it. Never had any actual elbow or shoulder injuries, which was great.
Phenomenal as a pitcher, especially a reliever.
Especially when you have 27 appearances in your year,
and you pitched the whole summer beforehand.
Yeah,
which was stupid.
So we do a good job, and you kind of get into it when you're in school, and hopefully your coaches do a good job with knowing your routine and your arm care of what you need for how long throughout the year you should be throwing. So a lot of us, we would throw during the fall for a certain point, shut down for a couple months of the winter, and then start ramping up before the season. And then after that, a lot of us is going and playing and throwing in college ball. If you throw a certain amount of innings, you're not pitching over the summer. You'll go there. You'll probably do just a little bit of work on the other things, like I said. But the biggest thing is your rehab and figuring everything out after that. So a lot of your arm care, it's a ton of band work that we were doing every single day before and after you would throw. Make sure that you have your
you do it twice.
Yep. There would be like a warm-up set of everything you would do before you would start throwing for the day. And then there's usually after you're done pitching, you do your bands again to make sure it's kind of getting the lactic acid out of your arm and everything. Obviously, ice and rest and everything is good. A big thing that I always felt really helped was just my conditioning and running. So anytime after you pitch, we're doing running, whether it's poles, sprints, just any long distance stuff, anything to kind of just keep your body in shape. Building your legs up as well is one thing for me. Is I pitched a lot with my legs, so I did a lot of driving in that, and I feel like that took a lot off of my arm. So making sure your mechanics is right. If your mechanics are smooth and sound, it's going to take away injuries. Obviously, you can't control a lot of the injuries that anyone's going to have, but if you can work on those small little things and just do your rehab right, it's going to reduce your chance of injuries. And luckily, I was able to avoid that.
So now that you're out of the baseball player realm, are you still openly involved in sports, like in your daily life?
Yeah, I work. So I work basically with a fundraising company that I handle all New Hampshire, Massachusetts, basically anything in the Northeast. So I work with almost exclusively high school athletic teams. I do a lot of other stuff as well, but I'm still involved currently very heavily with a lot of baseball teams, football teams, everything like that. So I handle directly with athletes, coaches, and stuff that I can relate to and
so do you
give back to a little bit still.
Yeah, of course. Do you like you see some of these kids playing, right? Like, what are some of the things that you notice the most about these kids that are wanting to go to the next level but necessarily aren't, especially with the portal now?
Yeah.
And these NIL deals, like, what are some of the things that kids you see nowadays, whether it's in New England or just all over, that you see like they can work on, or that to you is a point of concern?
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer. I know everything's different. It's tough to speak on like a full overall, like, encompassing generation of that. One thing is, a lot of kids expect instant gratification. Like, oh, I want to go to the school and I want to be the starting pitcher right away. And a lot of it's not going to happen like that for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
You need to be able to, it's an old saying, trust the process, just keep working every single day. And just, like I said, try and get a little bit better each day till you get that job of the starting position. You can't just go in there and say, oh, this is going to happen, I'm going to do this right away. It's great to have that mindset of you want it to happen, but some things don't happen like that. Another thing I would say as well is you want to be coachable. A lot of something I see is some people think they might know more than the coach, or maybe their travel ball coach told them to do this. Trust your coaches, because realistically they know more than you. Be open to anything they say. Like I said, one thing that I'll actually say it right now as well, one thing that I think was one of the biggest things that helped me my senior year, having that kind of the breakout season, is small little details on some things that you might think, oh, I've always done it this way, everything's right. I always pitched from the first base side of the mound. I was a right-handed pitcher with a lot of arm side run, and I would miss in sometimes. And I was like, oh, if I pitch from the first base side of the mound, it gives me a little bit more room to miss. Our pitching coach, Kevin Vance, told me, why don't you try pitching from the third base side of the mound, which for a lot of people and a lot of hitters, you might not realize, oh, you're just moving over 18 inches. No, it sounds like it's not that much, but for a pitcher that misses arm side like I did, it's a big adjustment to be able to try and get to that outside corner. But in my mind, and I could have just said, oh, I'm comfortable here, I'm just going to stay with this, I just want to do this. But I was open to the change to try it and see how it worked. And it wasn't easy at first, but I was able to figure that out. And I realized pretty quickly, as you'll attest, if you have a right-handed pitcher throwing from right here and just cutting off that angle of even 18 inches, it's going to make something a lot harder to view. So just even that aspect of, if someone goes in saying, oh, I know more than this coach, or I'm thinking this and I know this, I like this, be open to criticism. That everyone they're only trying to help you and help you improve. And if you're able to take that coaching, it's going to make you better.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely a huge wake up call when I went to college and everyone's throwing across the plate. Yeah. Like, that outside pitch was never been harder to hit in my life. Yeah. Like, I remember you did it, Ferriola definitely did it. And Tasso did it really well. Yeah. And I mean, like, just right here comes in. I was like, this fastball is a ball, and it hits that front corner of the plate. And I mean, like, they frame it 2 balls out, and I'm like, there's no way I can hit that, and it's a strike every time. Yep. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I was like, now all of a sudden, I would like to pride myself in high school as one of the top outside hitters. I could hit wherever, and then you do that crap, and I'm like, great, I just lost a third of the plate in a blink of an eye. But would you say, did you get private lessons when you were a kid growing up, or were you all like, it's me and my dad, hard work, and then people that I played with?
Yeah. No, I never did any private lessons on anything.
Just listen to your coaches.
Just listen to your coaches. Obviously, trust your ability. My dad, love him for everything that he did. He was out there throwing batting practice, working on everything with me for forever. And then once I got into high school, I was able, for my first 2 years of high school, I had a really good coach that helped me out there a lot. And then I had he was actually a rival high school head coach, but he was a former professional baseball pitcher, and I went and did just a little bit of like some side work with him occasionally over the summer, but that was all it ever was. And it was just kind of fine tuning your craft and know what you need to do until you get to that higher level and have the coaches that are able to help you. I know a lot of kids, and a lot of the kids actually that I work with go to a lot of ones that are around in the area, and I think it's great. If you can go to that, it's definitely an advantage. It's not going to help you. The more coaching you get's not going to hurt you if it's good coaches. Don't let that take away from another sport though. Don't not play a winter sport because you got to go and do your baseball off season workouts and stuff like that.
So like I would say you practiced a lot at your craft, especially like, you know, going into when you were in elementary, middle school, high school. Your dad was there to push you. You had your brother to work with also. How many times a week, you know, if whether you were in elementary school, middle school, high school, how many times a week did you work at baseball?
So I'll remember my I think it was like probably my 7th birthday or something, 7th or 8th birthday. I got one of the old school, like the pitchback things you could just throw in. It would throw you ground balls or pop up.
Yeah,
and
yep. All right.
From that, I remember it was until at least 6th grade. No, it was probably 8th grade. Every day when I would come home, I would go and I would play with that for probably at least an hour. And I think that really helped my accuracy. One of just throwing it. If you miss the target, you got to walk and go get the ball.
It.
But just being able to do that constantly. Like I was outside all the time doing that. We had a, not like a full batting cage, but we had like a full net. So I do a lot of, me and my brother would do soft toss work and hitting off the tee for hours when I was younger. And then after practice, one thing, a lot of people say it as well. I was probably always the last one to leave the field, leave everything, whether it's just cleaning up stuff or just wanting to get extra work in. The more work you put in, the more results you're going to get. So.
Right. Yeah, because I think that's an issue I'm having with a lot of my kids. I have a lot of talented kids, but they don't practice enough. And especially when you're young, just going out there, throwing a ball, fooling around, having fun playing still helps you get better. Yeah. Versus when you're in high school and it's got to be more fun, more technical, more serious. But like, just going out there and doing it, and I have a lot of kids that have a lot of potential, and they're not meeting that potential because they'll only practice when they see me. Yep. They'll only practice when they go have practice. But like, you know, little kids practicing, it's like half of the time it's standing around. Yeah. A lot of it's daddy ball, all this X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. And then I got kids that do practice every day, and it shows, and they're freaking all-stars. And I put videos of them, you know, succeeding and all that. So, you know, it's pretty good. But Blaise, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. That was a quick 45-minute talk, you know. Yeah, just time flies by, dude, and I can't wait to see you and have you on again, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Care. All right.
All right, thank you.
4, 3, 2.
Tier 1 performance.